Alencila lumen momentielvo.
No hablo español. Hola, Geek fans! Welcome back. It's time for another Guest Geek segment. Joining us today is Tammy Hunter, the chick that actually read the book. What did she read? She read The Hobbit. And today we are doing a review of The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, directed by Peter Jackson, the same man that directed Lord of the Rings. Now, just so you know, we watched the extended edition, but we'll get to that in a moment. Tammy, why don't you tell them what's The Hobbit about?
The Hobbit is a quite excellent book about a very short person who's a homebody and goes out on a journey to get treasure back for dwarves.
So to give you a little background, Peter Jackson, he directed The Lord of the Rings in the early 2000s. They were amazing. Well, you know how studios, they want to cash in, like how can we get more money out of this Middle-earth franchise? And they went, hey, the prequel, The Hobbit. The J.J.R. Tolkien wrote The Hobbit before he wrote Lord of the Rings. Let's make that a movie. You know what? Let's make that 2 movies. You know what? Forget that. Let's make it 3 movies, even though this is The Hobbit. One book, one little book. This is Lord of the Rings. Let's put that aside for the moment. There's many things I actually did enjoy about this movie. I love seeing all the cast of characters. I love seeing Gandalf again. I love seeing Galadriel again. The guy that got to play Bilbo Baggins was great. The scene with Gollum and they're doing the riddles is fantastic. Tammy, what did you like about this movie?
Well, I especially liked the beginning of the movie because in order to stretch out this one book into 3 books, there was a lot of hinting at the backstory of the Tolkien universe. And it actually made me realize a few things that I didn't realize when I was a teenager reading these books.
Ooh.
For instance, The Hobbit, Bilbo helps the dwarves reclaim their treasure, but in the backstory it's made very, very clear that nobody would ever help the dwarves. Everybody just ranked on them. So a key part of these stories is that this Hobbit, who really wasn't good at much but smoking his pipe and eating his seed cakes, got out of his house to help them, and that added a lot to the Tolkien book enjoyment for me.
Did you feel like the beginning of Unexpected Journey adhered more to the book or adhered more to the feel of The Hobbit?
Yes, I do. I think it actually added a lot by bringing stuff into it.
What did you think, though? So I like some aspects of this movie, but there are other aspects I didn't like, and they were the forced elements, I feel like. This book is just this. It's just this book, right? It's not Lord of the Rings, and they decided to make it 3 movies, so they had to fatten it up. And they put stuff from other books, they lengthened scenes. I felt at times like the movie was kind of boring and dull. What did you think? Remember, we're watching the extended edition. What did you think? And we had both seen the previous edition.
Well, as I said, sometimes it worked. When they brought things in from a lot of Tolkien's backstory. Now, Tolkien wrote a lot of things besides The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. You know, volumes and volumes of work. So bringing some of that in, bringing in some of the backstory to make points that, you know, frankly, as a teenager reading the book I didn't get, was really, really nice. Some of it was maybe a little bit over the top with the fight scenes and kind of making everything larger than life. If you read this, it has a very small feel to it. There's a lot of description of tiny little things, what people ate. You really get the feel like there was a small party that went out on this journey and they got into, you know, all of these problems that were real, but not epic.
Right. They encounter these shenanigans, they encounter these issues on their journey, but Jackson, I think he feels like, and he has the pressure on him to make another Lord of the Rings, another epic. But Lord of the Rings is epic, and The Hobbit isn't. So this is my chief problem with the movie. I have other problems with the movie. I hate how they treated Radagast. Radagast the Brown is one of the 5 wizards. I think only 3 are ever shown in the books, and they put bird shit on his face. I can't stand it. I can't stand seeing Radagast.
He was down to earth.
No, it doesn't count.
He was down to earth, and they kind of wanted to show that. That didn't bother me so much, just kind of the grand music, but then again, it is a movie, it's a totally different medium, I'm not trying to bash it, but...
Tell me what you think, the grand music.
The way the goblins were treated it kind of surprised me a bit. You have the goblin with the
king with the excess neck.
The king with the excess neck in the movie, and it works, but it's made kind of comical. Just let me read you a little bit of what page 62 says about goblins. Now, goblins are cruel, wicked, and bad-hearted. They make no beautiful things, but they make many clever ones. They can tunnel and mine as well as any but the most skilled dwarves, when they take the trouble, though they are usually untidy and dirty. Hammers, axes, swords, daggers, pickaxes, tongs, and also instruments of torture they make very well, or get other people to make to their design. Prisoners and slaves that have to work till they die for want of air and light. Now, these aren't creatures that I think...
That sounds hideous. That sounds horrible. It's not comedic at all.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
And they kind of come across in the movie as, yeah, they're bad, but they're kind of like the monsters under the bed. Lost a little bit. Then
It's silly.
It's a movie.
Yeah, but I'm not sure exactly what I want out of this, because I love the serious tone of Lord of the Rings. I love that so much. I don't like the comedy relief elements. And The Hobbit is a lighter book. It is a little sillier. There's some goofier elements. And they do some good stuff in An Unexpected Journey.
Right, they have the jokes in this.
The first half of the troll scene is good. The whole golem scene is excellent. But it's not The Hobbit. It's not this book. It is some weird amalgamation of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and I don't even know. So overall, I was disappointed in this movie. I mean, I felt like when you were watching it, you thought it was boring too. Did you get bored? You were like,
Well, I mean, I like the book better. That doesn't surprise me. I generally like the book better. But perhaps it was because it was the extended edition. It just seemed like the fight scenes were dragged on and on and on. And the silliness, while it's in here, it's a little bit more clever. It's a little bit less. While the silliness that was in the movie was kind of
How did you think the dwarves were portrayed, say, in the scenes where they're singing? Like, I really was bothered by the scene where they're in Rivendell, and they're having their song scene where they're at the banquet or whatever. I'm not sure if that was... I don't recall that being the actual theatrical release, but regardless, it really just bothered me. To me, it undermined the dwarves' credibility. Like, these people are just ridiculous. They're caricatures. They're not real.
Yeah.
Real intelligences I can, understand.
Right, and that's what bothered me kind of about the Goblin King as well. It was a little bit caricaturized. And in the dwarves, they're made more silly than they are in the book. In the book, they're actually, people who were wronged, and now they're fighting to get their treasure back.
They're not comedy relief in the book.
They're not comedy relief. However, it was more understandable than making the goblins caricatures, because they do silly things in the book. I mean, they do, smash the plate.
The trolls do silly things. I mean, there's silly characters. There's silliness in The Hobbit. In Lord of the Rings, there is.
Right. It got dragged out, kind of like the fight scenes.
That was my biggest issue with The Hobbit: The Unexpected Journey. It was just too long. It just went on and on and on. This book is it's not even 300 pages. The Lord of the Rings is like 1,000 pages. But they made this folks, into 3 movies. And the extended edition that we saw, it just added more filler, I felt like. At the very beginning, when they had Bilbo Baggins played by the actor from the previous Lord of the Rings movies, that was good. It was interesting. They had some backstory to the Shire. I like seeing the Shire because the Shire was real. That's another problem I have with the movie, was the special effects. It was all CGI. Like when we were in the Goblin's Lair, in the Goblin Cave, I wasn't there. I don't know where it was, but it wasn't in the Goblin Cave. Did you like it in the Goblin Cave? Oh, come on, Tim, you didn't like it in the Goblin Cave.
No. No.
Alright, so I'm gonna review this movie on my 5-star scale, and I'm gonna give it up. It's tough. I'm giving this a 2-star. It is boring, it's dull, they fuck with Radagast the Brown, piss me off. I don't like the CGI, I don't like a lot of the jokes. What I do like is some of the cameos from Galadriel, from Saruman, even though they're kind of forced, but I like them. I like some of the music. What is your rating on whatever scale you feel like using? Because we use whatever here on Geeks of the Movies.
I'm going to give it a 4. I didn't think it was that bad. They actually
4 to 5 stars?
4 out of 5. I mean, they stuck with the basic storyline of the book. They brought in a lot of backstory at the beginning that was very useful. Yes, I think some of the fight scenes dragged on. Some of the characters were definitely characterized, but it's a movie. I'm gonna give it a break on that one. One thing I would have liked to see more was more conlang. Very few constructed language bits in that movie. I would have liked to see a little more.
What about the Orcish? Didn't they eat that Orcish or something, didn't they?
Yeah.
But you wanted more. You wanted Dwarvish and different Elvish.
I wanted all of it. Of course, to be fair, there's not much in here, so it's very understandable.
It was a kid's book.
I thought they did a great job with the dwarf song, the Over the Misty Mountain.
That I liked.
Yeah. So I'm being, I've never tried to make a
generous.
movie. I'm going to be generous. It's 4 out of 5.
Wow. So, Tammy, where can they get more of you?
Well, if you like art, I have a Facebook, TL Hunter's Studio. And if you have any questions about the book, I guess you can just...
You can comment below. You can comment below. You can message Tammy. You can message me. We want to hear from you, geeks. We want more guest geek segments. Tammy Hunter, thank you very much for joining us. This has been the review of The Hobbit: The Unexpected Journey. My name's Shane Goodrich. We got Tammy. This has been Geeks of the Movies.
Namarie.